Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trader Merlin Show. It is your Monday edition. Sorry if my energy level is muted, and I feel really just tired. I've been teaching crypto all morning, so it's been 6.5 hours of just talking nonstop. I look like garbage too. Perfect. Great for today. Let's talk about what happened out there today. You guys might recall, I think it was about 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, I was telling you guys that I opened up a big short position on the market, and my belief was that Israel was going to go to war, Israel was going to go to war with Iran, and then that would bring in the U.S. And a lot of you guys thought I was crazy. You guys might remember that? You guys were like, "Oh, you're nuts, you're wild." My timing was a little off, but I nailed it. Fortunately, I made money on that trade. Oh, that's a good one, Big Eb. You don't look as bad as the Supreme Leader. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I hope I never look that bad. I'm trying, Dan. We'll do good. So a little bit bummed that I didn't have a short position, but we'll talk about kind of the outcome of that trade today. Not the trade. That trade was closed a couple weeks back. But war and markets. I think I mentioned this. I lose track of the things I've covered with you, but I think I mentioned that typically what you get with a war is a real quick knee-jerk reaction to the downside, followed by a substantial market move to the upside, depending on how long that war goes. In this situation, I don't know. It's a tricky one. I've got my graphic up here, which I thank you AI for building this one out for me, called War and Markets. Now, if we look at what happened with our broad market indexes today, it really wasn't that bad. I saw someone mention here a minute ago, they just kind of shrugged it off. A couple of things. We did start off on a pretty ugly note. I mean, pretty ugly. We're down over 1%. But notice the recoup here. I had a line in the sand for everybody that, at least this number I've been talking about. I needed to close below 67.7150 on the S&P before I was like, okay, now we need to worry about going short. Notice where we hit today. I mean, we did tiptoe across about a couple points, but we didn't get a close below that. It started off on a real ugly note and came back ripping up within 1 day. Now, normally you'd get maybe 1 to 2 down days that are pretty significant, and then the markets come roaring back. Well, we came roaring back right out the gates. And maybe that's because, we took out the Supreme Leader over there, and that piece is done, and now it's just seeing if they can implement change to the current regime. So the question I got from Scott was, with the attacks on Iran over the weekend, where do you see the S&P and oil going? Ooh. You know how difficult of a question that is to answer? I don't know. I mean, my gut would tell me, just gut feeling, and we can discuss this as a group here. My gut would tell me that the S&P is probably going to go higher and that oil is probably going to go higher. The war machine creates jobs. The war machine creates demand. If you look at some of the military supply companies today, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, their stocks were up pretty significant today, which is no surprise. I guess for me, it's how long is this? There's a couple variables. Number one is, how long does this go for? President Trump has said, as long as it takes, we're not leaving. Number two is, do we get China and do we get Russia to get involved? Because that takes things to a whole new level, and hopefully they don't. Trump said that they won't. And number three is collateral damage. It seemed, and again, I try not to watch the news, but my feed for social media has been just inundated with this stuff. And you look at the flailing of attacks. It's almost like someone getting beat up and they just start swinging in every direction, just launching missiles all over the place. Now, the concern is what type of collateral damage happens, what loss of civilian life happens. And, hopefully that does not happen. We know it's going to in times of war. I mean, we obviously like it to end somewhat peacefully, but this has been a prolonged situation for a long time. And hopefully get a regime change. There's so much great footage of Iran many years ago where women could walk around in nice clothes and dress as they like and, be themselves, as opposed to being under a dictator regime. I definitely have my thoughts on that, but I'm worried that this will be just Iran throwing things at people that aren't involved in the fight, trying to stir up the hornet's nest even more. And that's a dirty type of war. I hope it doesn't come to that, but things could progress, things could get much worse. Who knows? I'm not so concerned about attacks on U.S. soil other than sympathetic individuals who are living within the United States. And that is bound to happen, right? I would say, from a market perspective, I would say, Scott, there's three things. Number one is the S&P. I think that you're going to see that broader market S&P move to the upside. Now, we've been in this sideways channel. Again, I don't think that was the buy point today, even though we were down at the very bottom. If you're talking about sideways action here, this was certainly a great buy point right at the dead lows. Of course, in hindsight, we still are in the lower third, well, maybe the middle third of the range here for the S&P. So, I would still say that spread trading is probably the way to go until we break out of the overall highs. But I do see this acting as a catalyst for markets to move forward, depending on collateral attacks, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, oil, on the other hand, when you close the Straits of Hormuz, which is what I think 15% of the world's oil goes through, 15 to 20% of the world's oil goes through the Straits of Hormuz, that creates a whole different set of problems. So right now you see that crude oil had a giant update, right? We gapped up big time on crude oil. We finished the day up 6.19% as we speak. But going from Friday's close to its peak today, it was up over 12%. My guess is you'll probably see it drift a little bit lower here before starting this overall trend back up. You look at the price chart here, and this was one of the arguments I had made on why I felt like we were potentially going to war, is you can see a pretty steady climb in the price of crude oil futures. The talk track from the president kind of made it relatively clear that tensions were building and hostilities were getting more and more, inflamed between the two countries, and it just felt like that was what was going to happen, and here we are. So I think the overall trend of crude oil, which goes back to those lows on December 17th, has been beautiful. Higher highs, higher lows. I think right now you're looking at something that is way overbought, right, on the panic move. And it will probably pull back, would be my guess, a little bit, but continue this uptrend. I do see crude oil going higher. So to answer your question, Scott, it's the S&P and oil going higher. So let's take it away from, and this might be too personal, and I hope I don't ruffle any feathers here, but when something like this happens, for me personally, I make it a point to be very careful about where I go. When you have a conflict like this, sometimes it gets into dirty war, and you get sympathetic attackers on either side. Typically, it's the more radical individuals. I will probably be shying away from big events where there's a lot of people where the likelihood of a mass attack could be higher. So, for me over the next couple of weeks, just kind of lay low. Hopefully not going to be going to any big concerts or any big events and things like that. And probably the safest thing to do is play that defensive route, because you never know. You never know what radical action someone's going to take and say, oh, well, you already have the death to America chance and all this going on, which we've heard many times before. But repositioning, now I have plenty of oil in Venezuela, right? And that's pretty funny that we do that. But you heard President Trump say today or yesterday that, look, we've got plenty of oil. You're welcome to buy from us. Nice move. You're welcome to buy from us, Russia. You're welcome to buy from us, China. Threw that out there today too, which I thought, or maybe yesterday, which I thought was interesting. But hopefully this will blow over. At one point, maybe the Revolutionary Guard there will back down or just kind of throw up their arms, and hopefully the people will step in, right? This is one of those things where, and again, I'm not in an oppressed regime, but if I was living in a country that had this kind of dictatorship and was finally overthrown, I think this is where you look at the people stepping up and saying, no, we demand change. Yes, there is a facet of the government. Yes, there's a facet of the population that likes it that way. And I'm too ignorant to know better, but I wouldn't be surprised if more people would actually like freedom of choice and freedom to do what they would like to do in that country. And now is the time for them to step up and take control over that. Those Iranian drone tunnels are crazy. Oh, I have not been watching the news, Big Eb. I gotta let you know. Iranian drone tunnels? Oh, the craziness of it. I saw one where they had it looked like a B-52 bomber, or a stealth bomber come out of some hole in the ground that looked so AI, it was ridiculous. Change your mind about the Fish concert in Vegas. I'm pretty sure that an Iranian or any sort of terrorist is not like, let's go get the fish heads. Those are like the most laid back people on the planet. They don't want to hurt anybody. So, but you never know. No, I'll still go to that one in April. I won't tell you which day. I don't want you to blow it up. He's on Donald with drones all lined. Ha! Well, you shall see. We had Maduro in January. I know. Yep, in February. There's a pattern. It is unsettling, although, some of the people that have been taken out weren't really good people. Not to justify it, please. I'm not trying to justify Maduro. I'm not trying to justify the Ayatollah, Khomeini, whatever, the supreme leader. you know, I'm just trying here to live my life the best I can, and on a grand level, I wish that the rest of the world could live the best life that they would choose to live. And some people don't have that freedom, don't have that luxury. So be careful out there. As far as markets go, you look at pretty much everything today was up, which is really a surprise to me. I was anticipating this being a bigger down day. I was at some friend's house yesterday, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be hell tomorrow. It's going to be just wild. And I was like, man, I'm teaching all day. I have zero time to trade this or be a part of it. A little bit bummed that happened, but it's okay. Looking at what happened, I'll start at the bottom here, go to that S&P. At the end of the day, for the S&P to be literally break even is pretty remarkable, given the extent of the attacks and how wild everything has been. That was pretty impressive to me. But from a technical perspective, if we take out the war side of it, right? Let's take out war. If you look at the candle today, this is exactly what it should have done on a normal day. Sold off into that lower area of demand and then bounced out of it. And it did it almost perfectly today. So supply and demand still holding true and pushing this market a little bit higher. Unchanged on the day, which in my mind is a fantastic victory. If that momentum does continue, I would expect this to be a bullish day tomorrow, even though I did not think we were going to get it today. NASDAQ. Thank you, NVIDIA, for coming back and erasing some of yesterday's losses. NASDAQ was up 0.08%. From a technical perspective, though, I wouldn't say this came into any meaningful area of demand at all today. So just kind of, I think the S&P is the dog that wags the tail for today's market. Russell, which had just such a big down day yesterday. Look at the range for today. We closed outside that lower, or sorry, we dipped way outside that lower triangle. But what did it bounce into? Almost to the T, the low from back here on February 6th, right? Just slightly above it, but it came right back down to that one before screaming up and did not close outside that lower blue band. Pretty remarkable. I mean, I'm really just kind of blown away at how strong this market was. Now, dollar index. This to me is a bigger story because from a technical perspective, you have it finally breaking above that, call it 98 mark. And it did so with authority today, obviously. Now the broader question for this dollar index is, do we start to make a swing high? For me, that swing high is going to have to be above, not 98. It's 99.5, right? That is the last real major downturn we've had where it made new lows. So that is an important level for us on the dollar index. But all in all, today, pretty impressive. I'm watching a significant move up like this in the dollar index and watching commodities still do okay. Marsh says flight to safety. You would think so. But normally when you have the dollar rally this aggressively, gold crashes. Look at gold. Gold did not crash today. Gold had a decent day, 1.21%. Look at silver. All right, not as good as gold. Silver was down 4% today, but gold really breaking the trend here. I say breaking the trend, but I mean historical trends, as in when the dollar is so strong, usually gold is weak. Something's broken here. They're all looking good today. It's like, okay, well, why is everything looking good? Even something like the 10-year yield, which about time it had a little bit of a bounce. I mean, this was a huge jump today in the 10-year yield. We hit lows of right around 3.92% for the 10-year, and now we bounced right back up to 4.03. So hopefully those of you who refied your mortgages over the last 48 hours, congratulations, or 72 hours, congratulations. All in all, though, 2.2% for that 10-year is still a drop in the bucket compared to the big drop we've had since the beginning of February. So March off to a significant rise in bond yields, that's for sure. Now, the one that made me happy, and I was worried about this one last night as it was having some real crazy volatile moments, and I actually thought this would be much more of a dramatic move, was Bitcoin. Currently, the futures are sitting at 69,480 spot prices, just slightly below that. 5.46% gain, not too shabby. Although, look at the range. We are still stuck in a real tight sideways range. Normally, with a attack on, as we've seen, I would have expected a bigger move. I was actually thinking we'd see like a 10% jump today in Bitcoin based off the fact that the Iranian government would probably start freezing accounts and freezing banks. That creates turmoil and fear around the global community of more freezing of assets, and why not get your stuff into Bitcoin where they can't freeze those assets? But I'll take a 5.46% gain today on Bitcoin. Certainly would like to see this thing back up at 130,000, but right now I'll take a $70,000 print on it for the intraday price action. Not too bad. That was our high for the day, was 70,445 on the future side of things. But look at the sideways trend. Not much happening here, even though it was a great day. Not too bad. And then finally, we had crude oil. We already talked about it. Huge break to the upside. Not surprised to see a significant pullback on that bad boy, but I would expect it to come back down a little bit more before continuing its trend back up. And again, it depends on what Iran does in the Straits of Hormuz. If they start firing missiles at every tanker that's in there right now and sinking some ships just as a radical move, I think the probability is higher that we're going to see oil prices continue to move higher here going forward, just based off the laws of conflict over there in the Straits of Hormuz. So those are your top 8 markets for today. I thought it was noteworthy when you look at some other defense companies. Let's start with General Dynamics. GD was up 2.13%. Not a huge jump. I mean, they've already been on a pretty significant move. It was Lockheed Martin, which we talked about this in a while back and what a phenomenal chart it has been. And this was, again, part of the reason that I made my argument for a potential conflict, right? I was talking about this where I said, look, you look at these defense stocks, which have just gone absolutely parabolic since December of last year. That leads me to believe there's a bunch more money flowing in there, getting ready for more. It just felt like there was more conflict coming when you have that kind of demand for jets and military equipment. So that was Lockheed Martin. You got RTX on here, which is another great trending stock with a huge gap up today, 4.71% gain. My guess is those will probably have a little bit of a pullback. I think this is a buy the rumor, sell the news type of one. Because I noticed the local gas stations wasted no time raising prices. Yeah, how do they know so far in advance? What I want to know is I wish we could go back and see what the odds are or were on Kalshi. Right, just go to Kalshi and see what the odds were that a war starts with Iran over the weekend or within the next couple of days. Because, man, you know that this wasn't like, okay, let's just do it. This has been planned out meticulously for days and days and days and days and days. So somebody knew this. I'm a skeptic. I think that someone knew this and probably made a huge chunk of change off this one. I wish I knew this one. Dab nabbit. Let's see. So the question was, is there a defense ETF? There's a whole bunch of defense ETFs. I'm writing a couple down just so I can bring that up here because I don't usually look at those bad boys, but there are quite a few. I know that most of them have very low liquidity, so we'll spring up there. Let's go to, this is the iShares Aerospace and Defense ETF, which again looks absolutely fantastic. The reason that this one is fine is you have better volume than most, right? Its average daily volume is still under 1 million, but not atrocious. Today we're like 2.6 million shares traded on that bad boy. You have XAR, which is State Street's aerospace one. This has fairly low volume. I mean, I'm doing them in order of volume. So that's your State Street was XAR. I think this is this one's very low volume, but it's the NATO. Its symbol is NATO, NATO. This is the Transatlantic Defense ETF, so this has international stuff as well. And then I think you have DFND would be the last one on here, but that's almost too low a volume. You're talking like 70,000 shares a day, but all of them looking very good. This is the Global Aerospace and Defense ETF. So yes, there are plenty of them out there. If you are going to buy some of these ETFs, make sure you look at the composition because what you'll see is they're probably all 60% the same basic few companies. Again, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, and a few others. So, what do we got? Someone made a boatload of Polymarket placing bets on Iran just hours before. I forget. Yep. And, I think I told you guys the story where I was sitting at a bar and we were watching the national championship game between Indiana and Florida. And it was like the last 30 seconds of the game, and Florida was driving down the field, and I had a bet on Kalshi. Or actually, no, I was watching Kalshi. And as they were getting closer, people in the bar were like, oh my gosh, Florida's going to score a touchdown and win the game. And Florida, here they go. And it was like first down. I'm watching on the TV in the bar. It was like first down. And all of a sudden, the odds on Kalshi went from like 38% chance that Florida's going to win to 0. So I knew it was an interception or a fumble, right? And so this guy is like, he's going to throw a touchdown right here and they're going to win the game. And I just turn to the guy and I go, I'll bet you a beer. He throws an interception. And about 30 seconds later, interception was made. So Kalshi leads the market. I mean, Kalshi is a predictor of things happening. And clearly, I mean, look, if I'm in that defense meeting, if I'm the Secretary of Defense and like, 1 second, let me just grab my calcium. When are we going to do that? In 5 minutes we launch? Let me just put 500,000 on today. I'll make that bet. I think you're going to see a lot more of this type of stuff. It would be interesting to see that and track and see who did it. Yes, TV definitely had a delay. I think it was like 30 seconds, but it was really kind of cool because the whole bar thought I was like some oracle. They were just blown away that I knew like 30 seconds before that there was an interception. It was like a mic drop. I just walked out the door. It was pretty fun. Anyway, yeah, somebody made ridiculous amounts of money on these attacks. And, even if it wasn't just on Kalshi, you knew that we were going to go into some attacks and buy these defense stocks going on and on and on. That's the one, AVAV. Yeah, VB. It's funny. I have a friend who is big into the drone and defense stuff, and I wanted to buy AVAV. Oh, down 17% today? Wow. Wow. I'm surprised to see that one. Well, maybe I will look at buying some of this bad boy. I got to see what the news was. I mean, why would they go down so much? You would think drone would be just like what everyone wants. Drone maker, air stock is taking. Here's one. I'm going to check this out later on. But AVAV, so again, I have a friend who he is in the industry and builds defense drones, defense stocks, and I asked him, I said, if you could make one purchase of a stock and say they're the kind of the leader in the space, who would it be? And without missing a beat, he's like, AVAV. Let's see, what did you say? A friend was at Casey's Air Base on Friday and said it was basically a lockdown. I should have, it's again, like this was not private information. This was like, it seemed like it was just kind of public at the time. I think they moved it up by a few hours because there was an expectation that it was going to happen, and they moved it up by a few hours. Palantir had a nice jump. We'll take a 5.82% increase. What I don't like about Palantir is, it broke down below those kind of key demand zones. Now we're back up above them, which is great, but still not looking very good on the Palantir front. From the Magnificent Seven, though, I was very happy to see Tesla reverse its course. As you guys know, I have puts on, or I'm long Tesla and selling covered calls against it. Right now I have the 432.50 calls, which I was sure will be fine there, and my average price is 407. So I'm underwater just barely right now. But Coinbase has been really good to me over the past couple of days. I have the 192.50s expiring this weekend, and now I may get hit on those in the next couple of days. We'll see. I don't really want to, but if they do, that's fine. It'll erase those losses I incurred back here. It's actually erased all of it. I was down, what's about 20K on this Coinbase trade back here, and now I'm up a little bit more than that. So we're okay so far on those. And then I have CoreWeave too. I was a little bit nervous on CoreWeave. I have the $71 puts, as you guys know. They're still drifting down, but at 78, I think I'm fine on my 71 puts by Friday. But those are the trades that I'm in, and I got open right now. Okay, let me go into one other thing here before you guys feel free to type in something if you want me to discuss it. I'm going to go here and look at what I found concerning today, and that is manufacturing prices. So the expectation was we're going to see manufacturing prices jump a little bit, right, from 59 to 60.6. Well, look at that outlier. Now, we're not, way outside the band, but this is the highest level of increase in manufacturing prices we've seen since 2022. That is not a good thing. And it is a one-point data. I mention this all the time. You shouldn't freak out about one-point data. But I think it is pretty important to see that, well, wait a minute. Where did that come from? I know I have not had time because I've just been so darn busy. But I would like to dig into this and see where those increases came from. I brought up the point here a few times in the past couple weeks that rise in energy prices is going to bring back inflation in a big way. And maybe that's what we're starting to see here is on these manufacturing prices being impacted by the cost of distribution and shipping, but also the petroleum products needed for those products. That could be. What did Big Eb say? What did you say there, Big Eb? I know it's local. Yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right, I got all your questions there. There's someone, and we got that one. Somebody made a boat. There's an ETF. We got that. He seems to be lining up a kill shot on Cuba. Oh, I don't know about that. Let's hope. Cuba, I think, not less worse there. We're not going to have another Cuban Missile Crisis. But this is one that starts to take one of the weapons away from the Fed. If we get those inflation numbers surge, and I'm in that camp. I'm very clearly in that camp. I think you're going to see inflation numbers start to rear their ugly head here particularly with what's going on with crude oil. You have very low mortgage rates, which should stimulate buying. That drives up the price of homes, which drives up the price of rents. Major factor in CPI and PPI numbers. You also have, and core PCE price index numbers. You also have just the straight up energy prices surging. I mean, if you look at where we were on Friday or compared to where we are today for crude oil, those numbers are going to spike. The inflation data. Going back from this low that we saw on December 16th to where we are today, crude oil was up 37%. Right now, it's only up 29.5% since those December lows. So we still have not seen, in my opinion, the official January data, but we will next month. We will see that come up here soon, and we're going to see an about face here on the inflation numbers. What does this mean? That means that the probability from the Fed is that we're going to see a delay in any sort of rate cuts. I know many here are expecting rate cuts. I don't think you're getting rate cuts. I think if anything, they'll hold steady. It's the right thing to do. But they may very well do a rate increase here soon if inflation does continue to spike. Here is the table for it. Hopefully it shows up at some point. We're at 97.5% chance of nothing happened, nothing burger at the March 19th Fed meeting. That has been been increasing quite a bit ever since a month ago. The 2nd of February was only an 89% chance. Now we're at 97%. So pretty sure that they will keep things right where they're at. I think now the discussion becomes, do we even get a rate cut this year? Or are we going to see them potentially start to raise? And this is the type of information that should push that. Will lower tariffs offset that? Possibly. The question is, are they actually lower tariffs, or did he invoke other rules, legal rules, that he could have exploited to pop those tariffs on more people? So I don't know. I'm not. I didn't dive into that one, Andres, as far as the yin versus yang, meaning the existing tariff policy, which was deemed to be not good. He couldn't do it using that power. To what are the new rules? I haven't paid attention to that. Because with steel, aluminum, and energy prices spiked, the manufacturing prices could get worse. If that dollar starts to rise, that could certainly impact that even more. Yeah, it's going to be. Prepare yourself for a wild few months. I mean, my gut tells me the S&P is going to continue to move up, but if we start to see those steel numbers surge and commodity prices surge and get higher and the cost of inputs rise, then inflation starts to surge, and all of a sudden you got the Feds putting the brake on the economy by raising rates. And then all of a sudden things stop. So right now, as I've said repeatedly for a while, the trend is your friend till the bend at the end, but that's why we mapped out this zone. Let me go to the SPX here. That's why that zone is marked out. Oh, I'll put on futures. That's why that zone is mapped out right there. All right. If we close down below that, I will probably go into full defensive mode on the long positions I have until I close those out, and then go into more of a proactive short strategy here for the market going forward. Any challenge on legality of new tariffs will take a while. Yep, that's true. Yeah, and Liz, I don't know the extent of what those powers are. I saw that there's certain things he can do to get 10 or 15% unilaterally, but I don't know. It's a soap opera I don't like to watch. It's like watching a reality TV show. I'm not a fan of reality TV. I'd rather go live my life as opposed to reality TV, which is scripted. I'm talking on television. I don't know. I just can't do it. I can't watch it. I'd rather go outside and play with my dog, go for a hike, go for a walk, than dive into that stuff. But yes. There will be some legal challenges, although from what I've been reading and understand, the new initiatives he's using are straight legal code. He exploited the previous one, and this one, these current ones he's under have been vetted by his staff. We shall see. All right, so that was your economic calendar for today. Other than that, the only one that really caught me off guard was that ISM number. You can see this in manufacturing, but none of that was really out of line. But watching the increase in ISM manufacturing prices, that was concerning. I think that was something that we should definitely pay attention to, because it's not a small miss. That's a pretty significant jump to the upside here, and I'm not a big fan of that. Because 150 days, I think the longest they can have those new tariffs. Oh, okay, well, that still gives us, it's almost 6 months. Almost 6 months. Let me go into Tuesday's session here, as I'm going to wrap up a little bit early because I'm just gassed here today. Tomorrow, there's nothing that is like huge other than, how this conflict is going to escalate or de-escalate. My guess is it'll probably remain somewhat the same on our strikes on Israel until we get whatever people out of power that they want to get out of power and stop that resistance. From an economic perspective, though, you have several members of the FOMC speaking tomorrow, including Williams, including Kashkari. You have total vehicle sales. You have, and that's pretty much it for the U.S. Just a bunch of members speaking. Now, if you're trading the Australian dollar, you have GDP numbers, and they're expecting their GDP to rise significantly, almost double, which is awesome. Love it. Love it for the Australia down there, mate. You also have in the wee hours of the morning, if you're trading the euro, you have CPI numbers coming out, inflationary data for the euro, year-over-year numbers. They're running about 1.7% inflation, so they're doing better than us from a consumer price index numbers. What else we got? How are the other metals doing? Sure, let's go check them out. Let's go check out them. I don't have a lot of metals on my futures chart here. I just have the core ones. Like here we go with palladium. You had nothing that big today move up for palladium. I mean, it actually jumped up, but then gave back a lot of it. It was only up 0.15%, and it has a fairly small trend starting over about the past month. Nickel, don't need to look at nickel. Copper was down about 1.84%, nothing big there. Platinum, nothing, down 2.47. Silver, down 4.7. It's really just gold. Just gold is the big mover to the upside. And I don't have aluminum in here or steel. I'll have to add those in. I have to add those ones in. Andre says it's The Apprentice. You're fired. You're fired. So, Larry, you want me to look at ASTS? So here's ASTS. This is AST Space Mobile. Is that what you want today? Look at this bad boy, up almost 10% during the session, and it's up 5% in the after-hour session. So that's on an earnings announcement, even though they missed earnings. I love it when a company misses earnings and is up 6%. So I don't know much about this. From a technical perspective, I'm not a fan, just because of the way, So they both did, I got the earnings down here at the bottom. And their earnings they lost 26 cents. They were supposed to lose 17. So they missed earnings, and their stock is up big time. Wild the way that works. And then STLD, Old Steel Dynamics. No, STLD. Apparently my dyslexia kicking in there. Woo, nice pop today. 4.34% jump for STLD, and just a gorgeous trend. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I gathered that the SAT was a satellite company, but I just don't know the extent of their business. There's a lot of them out there I just don't know. On that note, let's go back here to Forex. We already talked about what's happening tomorrow. Let me just bring up here the earnings counter for mañana as well, so you guys can see all the big numbers. There are some bigger names happening. Again, retail is going to take center stage here over the next couple days. I think Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we get a bunch of retailers coming out. Tomorrow, your big names, CrowdStrike. So we got cybersecurity, and then retail. Ross Stores, AutoZone, Target will all be reporting earnings. What else I see as a retailer on here? No, Best Buy, but who cares about Best Buy, right? Does it even look good? Let's go BBY. Remember, I am scarred for life on Best Buy. Oh, there you go. That's what it should look like. Come on. Best Buy's chart looks horrible right now. I'll play taps. Big Ed, no, there's no Trader Merlin show tomorrow. I'm going to be in Woodland Hills teaching a class, so no show tomorrow. My apologies, but I thought about trying to do it from up there, but I'll be going right into another session, so I guess I could, but I have nothing to broadcast with. Even if I brought my laptop, I don't have the right equipment, and I don't have all my parameters. I need this computer here. Maybe if I can put it on my laptop, I might be able to do it for you, but I doubt it will happen for tomorrow. But I'm going to be doing another event up in Woodland Hills in a few weeks, and then I'm teaching the crypto class there in April, so it'll be fun. Be fun to get out there and have meet some people and actually teach face-to-face. So we got the thanks, Andres. One day, I'll be gone for one day, but I'll be back. Cool. Well, I think that pretty much covers it for me. No open positions. Here is the positions I have. Or sorry, these are just that's not Carvana. That's a typo. I would never buy Carvana. Do not think I bought Carvana, folks. Not happening. That was, I don't know why, that's just, my brain was stuck. CRWV is what I had in there. So CoreWeave, those are the options I have open right now. You can see the put position for CoreWeave, the calls on Tesla, the calls on Coinbase, and then the Coinbase position here was 151.22. So, all right. Well, give yourself much more. I'm trying. One thing I realized over the past few days is my body, Louise, I'm getting so fatigued from all the travel. And I mean, I was speaking with a friend of mine last night about public speaking, and when you look at the energy that goes into like stage productions and stage presentations, right? So when I was in Vegas, there's one thing, I can keep my energy level here pretty good with you guys, but when I'm on stage, for some reason, it's like I feel like I'm on just a huge shot of adrenaline. And I'm just so energetic. I'm just moving all over the place and engaging the crowd. I had 5 presentations on Monday, and my system just crashed. I totally crashed. It was, it's been rough. And then moving really a lot here, so... I'm debating going to the gym tonight, but I'm going to do it. Got to hit that gym. Got to hit my goal of 15% body fat by the 27th of March. That's the goal. Got to get down to 15% or lower. I'd love to get to 14 or 13, but I doubt that'll happen. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. 36. Anything else real quick you want to discuss? Throw it at me real quick. BMI, don't know. BMI is a bad, inaccurate measurement. What I'm doing is a DEXA scan, which is like one of the most significant or thorough scans you can get of bone density, visceral fat, and it really breaks down where your fat is located on your body. So I'll be doing a DEXA scan for the 3rd time. I did one in August, December, and then I'll do one in March 27th. So it's good. Won't happen with that attitude. I'm going to the gym, Eric. Don't you worry about it. I'm going to the gym. I have a 5:15 at the gym today. I'm in. It's going to be a good workout. It's going to be a great one. I got to burn some more fat, eating nice and healthy, lots of veggies. DEXA scan, I get those every other year. Yeah, no problem. I will see you guys on Wednesday. I'll be back on Wednesday. Oh, and I'm also doing this. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate that. I'm also doing a presentation for a nonprofit on Thursday. Let me just make sure that's right. It's the 5th. So, yes, Thursday I'll be giving some sessions for the Corporate Giving Conference. Thomasina asked me if I would participate in this one, and yeah, sure, why not? I'm always happy to help out. So I'll be doing 2 presentations. They're the same thing, just repeated, one at 8 a.m., one at 9 a.m. That's for the Corporate Giving Network. And yeah, that's going to be me. And basically I'm talking about how you can use cryptocurrency from a charity perspective and donate to charities using cryptocurrency and digital assets. So there we go. Yeah, so that's pretty much my program for the week. I will be doing shows for you Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that's it. All right, I didn't see anything else that you guys want to discuss, so I'm going to go take my dog for a quick walk and hopefully get back for my 4 o'clock meeting. Hope you guys have a fantastic remainder of your day. Feel free to email me. Let me know different topics, what you would like to discuss on our Wednesday, Thursday, Friday show. How is crypto tax? Income. It's going to be taxes, long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains. It's considered an investment. So, of course, you want to know more about my wheel strategy. It is a short show, Ollie. I told you guys on Friday, I said I'm teaching all day. My energy level is just drained. My ears are red. I'm exhausted, and my dog is like, Dad, I want you to take me for a walk. I can hear him whimpering downstairs. Dang, that old man. PBJ says protein. Lots of it, my friend. Lots of it. Way more protein than I should be eating, but you gotta get that muscle back up. Anyway, that'll do it for me, everybody. Thank you so much again. Email me if you have any thoughts, things you want me to discuss on Wednesday's show. If you are up in LA, I will see you guys tomorrow. There's 2 sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon on crypto and digital assets, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Take care, everybody.